Mercedes-Benz on this mission is putting $1 billion into a North American charging network. And it's obviously, I mean, you've said this in many other venues, but it bears repeating. This is not just for Mercedes-Benz. It is an approach to public charging that is accessible and that creates these experiences. How long ago did this journey start in Stuttgart, and why did it start?
Probably if you want to start at the beginning, it started 138 years ago. And I'm somewhat,
Right.
joking, but I know you had Dimitri and Melody on the podcast, and they talked about the heritage of Mercedes-Benz. But it really did start there. If you think about what Mercedes-Benz has represented within the automotive industry, we have been the first. We have been a leader. We have helped create standards for what automotive and mobility mean to the driver. So if you think about where we are today, and over the last, let's call it 15 years, as EVs have become part of the vernacular, we have really gone from selling a car to selling an experience, whether that's, an ownership experience that carries outside the door of the dealership, whether that's, a software enabled experience. It's not just about, the four doors and the four wheels. It's really about a digitized and an electric product and service that we're selling. So, now go back about 5 years, Jason, and the conversation around charging started within the Mercedes-Benz headquarters, which was, this challenge that we have in front of us around quality, reliable, experiential infrastructures not being solved to the level of quality and the degree of luxury that Mercedes-Benz represents. Zoom forward another, 1 year, and we said, this problem still exists, but hey, look, we can't solve this because Mercedes has never built a gas station. What do we know about building a charging station? But fast forward again, and about 2.5, 3 years ago, we said, enough is enough. We do have a brand that represents something, and we want to extend that brand promise into the industry, bring together the pieces, and help build what will be the most elevated charging network in North America. And as you said, most importantly, open to every single driver.
So about 2 years since launch, where are we on that journey?
So 2 years since launch, really a year and a half since our first location went in the ground. That first location was in Atlanta at our headquarters in Sandy Springs. Beautiful location, really one of our premium and luxury offerings. Since then, we've continued to build out the network with some really great partners. Buc-ees, which is a fuel stop provider in the Southeast. Simon Mall property is another example. We've built about 400 charging ports, Jason. So 400 cars can charge simultaneously. And the goal here, as you mentioned, is to deploy that $1 billion and build 2,500 of these charging ports across about 250 to 300 locations by the end of 2027.
Okay, so just a couple. You're basically halfway through the journey then, if you take from launch time until completion time. And how are you telling the world that you have these? I mean, obviously, in a Mercedes-Benz vehicle, it's apparent. It's built into the software, and I'm guessing the app will alert you to the next Mercedes-Benz charging station. But how do you tell the Chevy Equinox driver?
Yeah, I would say as loud as possible is how we're telling them. Again, this is a challenge, not just for the Mercedes-Benz driver. It's a challenge for all vehicles out there. So, I think the easiest way to tell this story is through the Mercedes-Benz microphone, right? And that is one of the benefits, yet challenges of building a startup within the big company, which is we have, the three-pointed star that allows us to tell a story beyond the footprint of our network and really leverage some of the work Melody is doing within MBUSA or our German colleagues are doing overseas. So it's really about using all the channels we have, but then it's about meeting the driver where they are, Jason. So some of this is very physical, right? Putting a charging station in someone's hometown and being on their route to drop off their kids. And then some of this is also about meeting drivers in their existing vehicle, so being within infotainment screens or meeting drivers within their favorite app. So we are trying to meet drivers anywhere and everywhere we can, but making it seamless for them to access our network.